in between. Right now, we can see the motorcade of the president of Masoud Pezeshkian is heading to the presidential palace. It is an official visit, which is deemed to be important for both nations, with regional logistics shifting, the middle corridor gaining strategic importance, and the east-west transport architecture expanding. Cooperation between the two countries is acquiring a new and more substantive dimension. Since the early 1990s, the presidents of Kazakhstan and Iran have held more than a dozen high-level visits, helping to build a stable architecture of trusted dialogue. A major milestone was President Tokayev's official visit to Tehran on June 19, 2022, during which key decisions were made that now define the current agenda of bilateral cooperation. So the car of the president of Iran is approaching Akorda. And in just a few moments, he will be personally greeted by the President Tokayev. So the handshake is expected in just a few seconds. So the two sides have set a goal to increase bilateral trade to $3 billion, introduced a 14-day visa-free regime, signed more than 20 agreements, and concluded commercial deals worth $235 million. So right now, as you can see, the Kazakh president is introducing members of the cabinet of ministers, as well as the heads of major Kazakh companies. The sides are shaking hands, signaling their readiness for partnership. So back then, in 2022, the first container train along the Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Iran, Turkey route was launched, and a joint chamber of commerce was also established. So as soon as right now we can see the presidents coming towards the Iranian delegation, Masoud Pezeshkian is going to present the members that have arrived to Astana with him. As we can see, it is quite a large delegation. And then in just a few moments, the leaders will proceed to the podium for the national anthems of Iran and Kazakhstan, performed by an orchestra. The official welcoming ceremony at Akorda is now coming to an end, which means the talks will begin in both narrow and expanded formats. The Iranian president's visit to Kazakhstan is expected to mark a significant step in strengthening relations between the two countries. Business cooperation is expanding. 658 companies with Iranian participation are registered in Kazakhstan, with more than half actively operating. From January to September of 2025, bilateral trade reached $310.8 million, a 44.9% increase compared to the same period last year. The main driver of growth has been a nearly threefold surge in Kazakhstan's exports, while imports from Iran showed a moderate decline. However, the composition of trade is evolving as wheat and metal shipments decrease. The shape of processed agricultural goods and petrochemical products is rising. Kazakhstan's exports to Iran have grown significantly, primarily in the agricultural sector, including barley, wheat, and cotton. Meanwhile, despite the overall drop in imports, deliveries of daily products, vegetable oils, potatoes, and plastics have increased, indicating a reallocation of Iranian export flows in favor of the Kazakh market. Now, joining me in the studio is Dr. Janat Mamenkulov, expert in Middle East, senior lecturer at Eurasia National University. Janat, welcome to the studio. So, just to establish the basis, how would you describe the current state of relations between Kazakhstan and Iran?
The current state of both countries can be described and assessed as a natural Eurasian partners. So we have the common or similar strategic interests. We need the hot seas through Iran. We need Iranian ports and logistics infrastructure. And Iran needs Kazakhstan in order to reach Eurasian markets, Eurasian Economic Union, and other Central Asian states. So in my view, the cooperation in trade is growing steadily, and the key priorities are transport logistics, as I said before, corridor, the trade, and agro-products, food processing, and petrochemicals. So we need to strengthen this framework. We need more dialogue and diplomatic interaction in order to make these relations more dynamic and interdependent via trade and logistics. And our president pays special attention to Iran as a key trade partner in the region. So we need Iran logistically. Iran needs us economically and both logistically.
Well, as you said, infrastructure projects such as Middle Corridor and the East-West transport routes are becoming increasingly important. How do you see these initiatives shaping the economic ties between Kazakhstan and Iran?
So I think that the infrastructure, the transport infrastructure, are key and backbone for cooperation, and especially the Middle Corridor is central for the future of the mutual partnership for Kazakhstan. So Iran offers to Kazakhstan its logistical infrastructure, ports and hubs, and the ferry, the shipment infrastructure, potentially. At the same time, Kazakhstan offers to Iran a bridge to Eurasia, as I said before. So it all gives us, both countries, connectivity and competitiveness. And especially for Iran, it's a golden opportunity, which described by Iranian experts and media. So I think that if you will have this infrastructure developed, harmonized trade procedures and customs and digitalized procedures, so I think that the freight volume will only increase, which potentially can lead to integration of two strategically important countries in the Middle East and the Central Asia, which can connect to strategically important regions and will give more outcomes to both countries.
Well, as we established, transport connectivity is probably going to be at the heart of the talks between the presidents right now. But beyond capacity expansion on railway routes, what other areas of cooperation are likely to be brought up today?
So I think that the two sides might focus on the multimodal transport connections, like railroad, like ports and air. So I expect a new vision or maybe discussion on the roadmap for transport cooperation under the North-South corridor. At the same time, I expect customs and logistics facilitation measures can be discussed between the sides, including the digitalization and unified standards to make corridors more efficient, effective. And at the same time, we can say about the trade diversification in agro-processing area. So I think that this kind of initiatives convert business ideas into concrete projects. So I think lots of things to discuss between the two states, and today both presidents can at least solve some of these problems which are might be constraints in the mutual cooperation.
Well, as I've mentioned earlier, the bilateral trade has reached $310 million. So what specific measures do you think could be done to push this figure up?
So I think that we need to create such conditions for businessmen, for Iranian businessmen and vice versa, in order to invest in Iran or vice versa. So we need to create such conditions that will be comfortable for both sides. At the same time, we need to extensively use the transport corridors. So we need to transform our economic cooperation beyond just raw commodities. We need to go further towards the processing of goods, products, agriculture. So we need the reciprocal mutual activation of business and logistics transports community. At the same time, I think that we need to use the visa-free regime in order to increase the mutual cooperation, not only between the state companies, but among people.
Well, looking ahead, what other bilateral initiatives should we be paying attention to that can be brought up today?
So as I said before, the first thing is that logistics, reliability and risk mitigation. So this area is geopolitically very difficult. So if we, both countries, really need to open up these roads and logistics, we ask from Iranian side to build such conditions that we can use Iranian soil as a transit, and we can give Iran our territory in order to activate this economic integration. So I think that if all these requirements are met, it becomes realistic. But of course, some experts have doubt about that. But in my view, I think that the construction of logistics hubs, especially in the southern corridor, is key for Kazakhstan. So we need to build, to promote the southern hubs in the territory of Iran and vice versa. We can also talk about the Aktau landscape. We can use these fleets and the other infrastructure, ports, in order to facilitate this economic cooperation, not only over land, but through the Caspian Sea. So I think that there are lots of opportunities to discuss between Iran and Kazakhstan. So both countries are regional middle powers. So I think that we can use each other's infrastructure and territory in order to strengthen our strategic position and reciprocal connectivity.
Yeah, we'll be definitely looking into the results of the talks. Thank you so much, Dr. Momenkulov, for your time and your insights. That's it for now. Catch more soon on Silkway TV channel. Goodbye.